What is up, friends, family, community members, or anyone else who stumbled upon this? Welcome to the WayPoint podcast. Ever felt like the Bible was too confusing, that it seems outdated or out of place? Wondering if it can even connect with who you want to be. This podcast takes a brief look to the polled questions on our church's social media pages about scripture and different perspectives from real people. That's right. The Bible is a living word, which means it's different. It means different things for different people. So settle in and let's all learn and laugh together. On today's episode, we are talking spiritual gifts. Are they really gifts? Are they tools? What does that mean for us in 2024? And we look at The Bachelor that's coming down to the season finale. And I got to say, if we had a biblical bachelor with some different principles, what would it be like? Today, we have two amazing special guests. Brehana, a former professional chef that has worked in 2 Omni hotels in the last 5 years. She and her husband moved to Memphis about 4 years ago, and through the pandemic, bought their own house and are now parents to a wonderful 8-month-old daughter. And we have Olivia, a junior at the University of Mississippi studying public policy, who loves to read and embroider in her free time. Hope you guys are ready to join us on the way.
Watch out, because I know the brakes off.
Well, guys, I'm excited because today we are talking about spiritual gifts and the power that they have. And I'm so excited that we have Brehana and Olivia here to go through this conversation, because I think when we think about spiritual gifts in 2024, I think we get really a little messed up inside because we don't always like the gifts that we've been given. And I think we don't always like the way that our gifts are interpreted by not just the world, but our friends, our family. It is a very polarizing way of looking at it. So much so that denominations have been formed over the gifts and the way things work. So I'm going to set this up and then we're going to jump into the conversation. So for anybody that's watching, if you don't have any idea what spiritual gifts are, they are found throughout the New Testament, but primarily in the book of 1 Corinthians, where Paul is instructing the people of Corinth to lean on the gifts they were given. And he uses this example as a human body, right? He talks, some people are the hands, some people are the feet, some people the head, the torso. And the idea behind it is that sometimes, guys, we desire to be something more than we are, but God has instructed us and instilled us gifts to grow in an area where we really need the growth, right? But at the same time, we've also got areas where our gifts could change, right? We could have one gift for 10 years and then be blessed with another gift. But the gifts come from God. They are something that is instilled inside of you. Once you say yes to this guy named Jesus, the Holy Spirit enters into your life and starts to open these gifts up. So let's start the conversation. Brehana, what is your spiritual gifts? Like, what are the things that for you that you know is your spiritual gift or gifts if you've been lucky to get more than one?
Well, I would think that my spiritual gift is encouragement and just being empathetic towards people. My father was a marriage and family counselor, so maybe I got some of that with it, but so yeah.
Yeah. And Olivia, what about you?
The last time that there's a test that I took, but the last time I took it, I got prophecy, leadership, and mercy. But sometimes that switches around. I've gotten serving a couple of times as well.
Okay.
So
yeah, I can definitely see that. So my top 3 are mercy, discernment, and leadership. Those are my top 3. And then there's a couple that are like right on the edge, like miracles is on there. And I do not, like, I am one of those people that don't think that the miracle thing is me. But if we think about these gifts, right, and we think about the importance, I think when we talk about technology and how technology has kind of made things, information is so quick now and you can be so connected. It really does feel like, at least for me, it feels like the gifts that we've been given from the Holy Spirit are really downplayed because we find ourselves reaching out to the other things in our life to find meaning or to validate how we feel. I don't know if you guys have had that experience or if you feel like that. Like you can go to social media and find a way to cook the best recipe, right? So it's almost like if you want to be who you want to be, you just choose, like, I don't want to have mercy. I want to have discernment. And so you just put yourself in those situations. It's like, what do you guys think about that? Do you think it's just this, do you think we crave it? Do you guys think it's just, I like being in my lane? What are your guys' experiences with that?
I feel that I've noticed that the same thing with you, like looking to social media and wanting to find like different gifts and saying like that's what I want my spiritual gift to be. And then so I've even caught myself like leaning into that gift that I want it to be instead of what it actually is. And that causes me more harm than just leaning into my own spiritual gifts. So I think that knowing what they are and understanding the season of life that you're in the moment can be very helpful to not feeling that pressure that spiritual gifts can sometimes have surrounded.
Yeah,
I also
absolutely.
think that your experiences also mold your spiritual gifts, and they just ebb and flow and change as you grow. And
Yeah,
I
I
think with
agree.
technology, like you were saying, with recipes, like you can just find whatever you want to cook online. Like some spiritual gifts are more prominent and more desired, if you will,
Hmm.
because they're more on the forefront. But like your hands and your feet, they're all essential.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's like, for me, I get frustrated with discernment because like I just know when something, like it's like that spidey sense. Like I know this is not a good situation, or I can feel something, and I almost get frustrated because I want to ignore that and just do it anyway. Right. Like I just want to be like, no, I'll just step into this. And I don't mean that like in like a negative thing, like I want to step and do something bad. It's just like, I know this is not going to work out, but yet I have to. And I feel like we get that, especially when we're not in positions of power or positions of leadership, right? Because if we discern something or we have a gift that can be able to step into something, right? Especially if it's serving, especially if you know it could be better, right? And you can't say anything, right? That's
Yeah.
just the most frustrating experience when you know, like you're a part of a team and you want it to be better, but there's nothing you can do to change the outcome with where you're at, right?
Yeah.
And so
I just laughed.
yeah.
I just laughed at you saying that you like step into it anyways, because I did the exact opposite when I get that type of discernment. Like I want to like really
Okay.
lean into the discernment on the opposite side and like where it gets to like you're leaning on that like too much instead of not leaning on it at all.
Yeah. Why is that? I don't know, Brianna, maybe this is different with having kids now. Like, do you find yourself when you're really hit that wall? Because the spiritual gifts are supposed to be the thing that helps us when we hit a situation, right? Anything in life is where we're supposed to be able to tap into those gifts and step into whatever season we're in. Did it change having kids before not having kids about just like the way you interpreted anything with your gifts? Or do you feel like it's the same?
Well, we're new parents. My daughter's almost 9 months now, so
All
we've been
right.
kind of quarantined to our house, just trying to readjust to life. Um, so just, I think spiritual gifts have really come into play between my husband and I, just
Mm.
serving my husband versus going and serving elsewhere, and a lot of my friends don't live around here, so I've been trying to touch base with my friends via text message, calling, just checking up, making sure that they're doing all right, and just being that listening ear for them.
Yeah. I I feel that. Like I feel like I feel like when you go through different seasons and like you feel like your gifts you feel like they're changing. Do you feel like some things because of the season you've been in and the fact the last 9 months has been so focused on, um, the growth with your child, the growth with just this different time being quarantined. Do you think you're finding other gifts growing, or do you feel like you're still about the same?
Um, I honestly haven't thought a whole lot about it.
Okay. No, that's fair. I I think I don't know. I think we're all trying to figure out what works, yet we get really frustrated because it's not what we were expecting. Right. And I mean, Olivia, you're looking at the end of college coming up and the end of the year, right? Looking at different things, like it's the next step. So what have you seen, just like in the last 4 years of college, what are you seeing that's just been different?
There's a couple of things. Um, I've learned how to become a bit more confident in my leadership. Stepping out of high
Mm.
school, I knew that I was a leader, but I didn't necessarily know how to lead in a very positive way. And so through experiences in college and serving outside of college and serving in different organizations inside of college, I learned how to communicate better with other people and express leadership without being overbearing, I feel.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's a very important skill to learn.
Yeah. You don't want to, like, it's a fine line because, again, the thing about spiritual gifts is they are for those that have already taken that step with Christ. So if you're watching this
Right.
and you're like, I have these gifts. I've got that spidey sense, or I feel like I'm a natural server, or I feel like I can speak in tongues. And we're not going to go into that on this podcast because I don't have the understanding of it to the level. But like, it's hard because these are gifts that come from God. So when you're trying to communicate why you feel a certain way and the people around you, maybe they're not Christian, maybe they're not super involved in their faith, or they just don't believe in the gifts, right? There are some denominations, they just don't put the value in it. And so it's like speaking a different language. I mean, do you guys feel like, I feel like that all the time with working outside of church, just any group that I hang out with, that becomes something that's like, I'm telling you, I have this feeling. It's not just a hunch. It's God given, and they just look at you like you're crazy.
It's that a couple of times being in college. South Point is one of the only churches I've been to, like just been to. And so people are like, yeah, I tell people, I'm like, oh, you should take the Enneagram test or you should take the spiritual gifts test. And my friend just recently reached out to me and she's like, hey, you told me to take the spiritual gifts test like 2 years ago. And my church just now decided that they wanted to take it. So I took it. Will you like teach me through it? Because I missed all of the things. And I was like, I can tell you what I know. Like,
oh, man.
But she had not heard of it before then.
Yeah, that's just like, Brehana, I don't know about you. Like, if you had that experience growing up, you know, whether you were in church or not, just like, do you feel like you're kind of fighting that battle with especially friend groups, or do you feel like, oh no, I can explain this and it makes sense?
Honestly, we moved to Memphis about 5 years ago, and ever since we've moved to Memphis, I've had a hard time making friends. It's kind of weird. Like, as you get older and moving, you don't have that catalyst of being in college, being in high school to build friends, and it just gets harder to tap into friend groups because a lot of times they're already established, and so it's hard to tap into that. And being that South Point, I've met some really great people at South Point, but I live an hour away. So tapping into small groups or tapping into serving groups is harder than I would like it to be. Yeah.
No, absolutely. That is. I mean, once you get older, you lose the natural catalyst that you're able to step into. So when we think about spiritual gifts, because there's a lot of them, if there was one that you really wanted, right? Like you don't have and you would love to have, right? What would that gift be? And I'll give mine first, give you guys a chance to kind of maybe review the list. I don't know why this one is so low on my list. And it's not tongues. For anybody out there, it's not tongues. I don't want that. That's the lowest. Speaking in tongues is the lowest for me. And then the second lowest is understanding tongues. So I was never meant to be a linguist. I think one that's really low for me, but yet I have a passion for it, is missions. Like, I love the mission field and the kind of the drive for that. And yet I've taken the test at least 10 times and it's never broken like the top 10. It has always been on the lower region. And so I just would love to, and I've met people that have that gift and it's just like, we connect. And so I feel like we should be able to have this gift together, but we don't. So missions is mine. What about you guys? Is there one on the list that you're like, if I could trade, right? If you and God could go together and say, hey, I'll give you back discernment, you give me this one. Do you have one?
That was a really hard question.
Okay.
I feel like I do have the gift of ministry to some extent. I like being not the forefront of ministry, but I do like having that drive and having the responsibility to lead a small group or to do the technology and just seeing the focus that groups have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
See that. Olivia?
Mine, I would probably say is healing. That one's always been pretty low on the totem pole for mine.
Oh,
And
okay.
I think that comes from helping and serving being so high and being willing to do things. But like when those really big things that just like need healing over it, I don't have that spiritual gift. And so sometimes it can be frustrating. And so I feel like that's kind of the root of wanting to do that, or that to be higher in my spiritual gifts.
Yeah. No, I could absolutely see this. Well, in 2024, spiritual gifts are still a necessity. They are still part of your walk. And if you don't tap into them, you'll find yourself kind of flailing around. And it is about looking at what you've been given as a gift. It may not look like a gift right now, but I promise you, if you tap into why God has given it to you and you take time to kind of step in and step out, you'll see a lot of things from it. So guys, thank you for your perspective. Thanks for bringing different ideas on this. This was great. Thank you. All right, welcome to another segment that we call Hot Take, and we're going to look at some different things that are trending around the world and just kind of bring our own thoughts and perspectives on it. And so today we are talking about the ending of one of my favorite shows, a guilty pleasure of mine, and that is The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. And I know you're looking at me and you're thinking, there's no way you like that. But I do. I like it because there's no way it's real. I'm convinced that it's all fake, that it's all staged, and that the love on it is not real. Because there are so many twists that it also makes me feel like it could just be the greatest human drama ever written. So when we look at this, I had this idea. What if The Bachelor followed biblical principles? And I don't mean like courting or, not holding hands till you're married. I'm talking about like we went to Old Testament, New Testament, and we added things into the actual storyline of the TV show. So we are in like the very end of this season, and Joey's going to pick his dream girl. I know it. It's going to happen. But for both of you guys, Brehana, you're married. You've been married for a while. You have a kid. Olivia, you're in a dating relationship. I've been married. I have no kids. So we have a different perspective of if you could go on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. The first question I have is, would you go on at all? If you were given the chance, would you go on?
I don't know if I would go on it, but I kind of did something similar. I did online dating and met my husband that way.
Okay. All right.
So I guess that kind of correlates.
That's.
I did OkCupid, and it was just a slew of random hippie guys and people that I did not connect with at all, and just sorting through them. So I think it's kind of on the same principle. I've never seen The Bachelor or Bachelorette, so
Okay.
I'm not sure how to correlate them.
That's not too far off. Like it's
Okay.
this, you're just filtering things down till you find the one. Now the process that they go through the filtering sometimes doesn't make any sense. But Olivia, what about you? Would you go on The Bachelor or be The Bachelorette?
Okay. There's two different answers.
Yeah.
I could not go on The Bachelor. I'm not nice and I'm competitive. And I would want to compete and I would want to win. And sometimes I struggle with being a sore loser. So that would just not be a good look. And I would lose because I'd be competitive. And that's also not a good look on Liv. So, but The Bachelorette is also almost kind of a no, because like having to make the decision really hard and having to tell people no really hard, but way easier for boys to be pining after me. Let's be honest.
Okay, I can feel that. I would go on I would be The Bachelor, but there's no way that no studio would pick me. If I went on The Bachelorette, I would try to intentionally be the worst Bachelorette contestant ever. I would bring everything. I'd show up in like jorts and a t-shirt on the first like appearance and just be like, "Hey, this is who I am.
Cornrows?
How we doing?" And just, the cornrows for sure. Absolutely. Just be like, I am so ready for whatever it is. All right. So if we brought biblical principles into this, and again, with this isn't like saying courting and that part of dating. It's just, if we could take some things. So if you had to bring somebody in, but they had to follow all of the specific laws in the Old Testament. And so we're looking at like the book of Leviticus and some different things from there. Would that be something that would be a turn off to go on the show if this was like you had to keep checking these boxes, or would it be like, no, I'd like to see this to see if they could be consistent through it? Because then you get the drama of like turning the corner and one of the contestants is like eating a pork sandwich and they're not supposed to, right? And like how that would be. So if you had any rules or things you would like to add from scripture for your version of this game show or this dating show, what would it be?
I think by adding those things would probably make me actually want to watch it.
Okay.
Just because I think it would add an interesting element. I'm one of those weird people that like to watch like Biggest Loser, Extreme Makeover, Weight Loss Edition, or even Worst Cooks of America, just because I like seeing how bad the cooks are for Worst Cooks of America, and just I like seeing the transformation and seeing how people struggle in. I know it's a TV show, but the struggles are real in weight loss.
Absolutely.
And food is an addiction, so you see that a lot too.
Yeah. Okay, so you be down for the changes, Olivia?
And I don't think that if you made a Christian version, you could make me watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. I'm not a big watching dating shows or reality TV in general. I do feel like it would get a lot of traction though. Like I might tune in if there was enough funny clips on TikTok. Maybe.
So do you think it would be, so this is the next one. Do you think it would be funny because people were making fun of it? Or do you think it'd be funny because of it's just like, this is actually, because there is a level of this where it's trying to be positivity. It's trying to be positive entertainment. It's not trying to be all of the stuff that's just all over social media. It's actually trying to be holistic and honoring, right? It's not just drama filled and gossip filled. So do you feel like that would be it? Or would it be like, no, this isn't real, it's fake and all that? Where do you feel like it would be in that? Especially with your generation. What do you think?
I definitely think they just still think it was fake, and the only enjoyment they would get out of it would be making fun of it. Like if it was a joke, like it was a joke show kind of, I think it would go over really well.
Okay,
but like
so it went in that.
No gossiping, no drama. They'd get so bored with that so quick. Like just the eating the burger, the pork would not be enough.
Okay, no, I feel that.
Yeah, I think you would lose the holistic part of it, and people would just make fun of it, and it wouldn't get the same effect.
One thing I thought about, there's this set there, you know, they just had the first Golden Bachelor. So it was the first time it was an older like man who was meeting older women for the first time. Oh, it was amazing. It was awesome.
No.
It proved that love, Brehana, it proved that love just no age meant. It's amazing. And so it was because it was like grandma and grandpa finding love. It was amazing. So I would love for them to add this in. They did it this season forever, is you pair up a bachelor or bachelorette contestant from the golden years with a younger person. And it's like you have a prophet in your corner that's just cheering you on. But you pair them up with the thing that they saw in themselves when they were younger. So if you have a problem with trust, for example, you get somebody paired with you who has trust issues. And so it just becomes like, don't fall into the trap that I fell into 20 years before, because I think it would just unravel. I think it would be awesome. I would be so down for that, because there's a part of me that lives for that moment in these shows. There just is. Do you not agree, Olivia? You look very discouraged by that statement.
That was just a lot that you just said that I needed to unpack.
I'm just saying, like, how cool would that be? How cool would that be? Is if like someone you turned 16 and you got like a prophetess that showed up in your life that was just there to remind you, like, I've seen the things you dealt with, and I'm going to walk with you through it while you're dating.
The way you made it sound was like it was going to be like telling me what to do. I don't want them to tell.
I think as somebody that is 16, they're not going to want that mentor. They're not going to want that prophet or prophetess, like not lording, but like looming over them and saying, hey, you need to do X, Y, and Z because I went through your same path and this is how I ended up. They want to make their own mistakes. Like
I completely agree.
wanted to make my own mistakes. Like I do take criticism and I do take instruction well, I would like to believe. But you still have this desire.
I completely agree. My thought in that is if I turned 16 and like someone stepped into my life and was just like, I'm going to walk with you through how to not be dumb, I definitely wouldn't have listened. But if we go back and look, I think all of us can agree that if we had somebody that stepped in and was like, just let me into your inner circle so I can help coach you through life, I think we all would agree that we probably would have said yes at some point. Maybe not fully, but somewhat, right? Somewhat would have said it. I don't know if you're like me. I feel that way, but
maybe when I was in college.
Okay.
Maybe not high school, but like maybe in college.
But college?
When
okay.
I start realizing.
Gotcha. Olivia, any thoughts on that?
I don't know. I still feel like if they were trying to tell me what to do, it would not go over well. If you wanted to sit there and listen and give me advice when I asked, 10 out of 10. So would take that. Like 24/7, like a therapist 24/7 there to just tell me what I should do. I'll take that. But I really find there's importance in lived experiences.
Taking
and you're never
it all
learn.
in and then dumping it right out. Like, yes, tell me, listen. Okay, good. I'm going to do my own thing now. Okay, that's fair. I definitely recommend that you watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, if not just for the comedy of the fact that, you know what? Dating is tough. It's always going to be tough. But guys, we're going to swing now to this closing of this called the pinpoint, the positive pin. We like to go ahead and close every single one of these episodes out by leaving with something good, because there's a lot of drama in the world. There's a lot of things in the world that just make us feel, and so we like to close out with a positive pin, something in your life that's just uplifting. So Olivia, we will start with you. What is something that's got a positive pin as we close out this episode?
Okay, so there is this thing happening in AutoZone Park Saturday, March 23rd. I don't know when this is being posted. Currently, it's March 21st. But
okay,
it's Backyard Revival, and they're coming to AutoZone Park, and it's a free event. They're a worship band, and they're local, ? They're small. I know that they're small. They might not be local to here. But it's a free event for everyone to go to, and I thought that was really cool that somewhere that's not a Christian facility was hosting a worship band for free and just letting people come and worship and experience it. So if you have the time, you should totally go see it, because I think that's the coolest thing I've heard of recently.
That is awesome. That is really cool. We'll have to do some social looks at that. Brehana, what is a positive pin for you? What's happening in your life that's positive right now?
So this week, my daughter's 8 months old, and this week has been really fun just to watch her explore. And
Awesome.
She's sitting up now. And this week we took her to my friend's house, and she got to meet her daughter, who's like a few weeks older than her. And so it was just really cool to see her interact and see her play with new toys and realize like.
That's awesome. No, I think that's great. I don't have any kids, but I can imagine like when my dog sees other dogs for the first time, the excitement and overwhelming, like you're new. I just feel like that would be the same thing for kids. It's just like, this is awesome. And as a parent, you get to love that. That is awesome. My positive pin is March 21st, which means it is the greatest weekend of all. It is the NCAA Wrestling Division I Championship. The next 3 days, I have been glued to watching NCAA wrestling, and I love it. It is amazing. It reminds me so much of my glory years, and I want to go back, but I also don't want to be broken. So I just watch and am excited for these amazing athletes. That's right. March is not always about basketball. It's about other sports. So yeah, well guys, thank you for being on the show. I really am excited. I hope you guys enjoy it. This is going to be on any of the places that you find your podcast streams. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for being here.
And us.
Yeah, and we're definitely going to keep that. 100% going to keep you saying that. Thank you so much, all of you, for watching wherever you are in the world. I want to give a huge shout out to our special guests, Brehana and Olivia. Thank you for being here. Remember, you can keep up with us by following right here on YouTube, or check out the audio version wherever you listen to your podcast. This has been the WayPoint Podcast, reminding you to dream big, bring your best, and above all, enjoy the journey. See you next time.